Yo, how are you guys? This week I wanna rant again about something that I just love to think and talk about when I was smaller, and something that I do to this day actually like a lot, and that is what ifs. And I know that what ifs are also common in other forms of media, but don't worry fellow weebs, I will keep it to what ifs in anime and manga-esque things only. While writing the script and thinking about what to really talk about in this video, I realized that there are actually many types of what ifs that I would like to explore with you guys. First, there's the obvious, what if something happened differently? There are a ton that I used to watch back then when I was smaller. I would love to check out and spend hours on channels like Laughingstock Media or Carmen's Land with their Dragon Ball what ifs, or Kryptonian Saiyan with his Naruto what ifs. Or there's this what if series about future Gohan going back to the present instead of Trunks, which I was really into back then, by Boku72. There are also tons of videos about My Hero Academia what-ifs that have been showing up in my YouTube feed by the channel Turtle Quirk lately that I really want to get into but don't have the time for. Then there's also the kinda official what-ifs like Dragon Ball Sai, where the story where Vegeta got sent to Earth, or there's the filler arc where the whole show of Naruto got presented in this alternate story which I really loved. Another great story would have to be Dragon Ball Multiverse, which is just a ton of what ifs written within one big what if, but the cream of the crop, the pinnacle at this, has to be the multiple part series by Masako X about what if Raditz became a good guy and would help the Z Warriors. The story is just amazing, the way it takes you through the whole story, the way Masako uses Raditz to resolve conflicts. I mean, he even found a way to build and launch, for fuck's sake. Seriously, it's so well made, and I would love to do something very similar in the near future in the My Hero Academia universe, which I already have an idea for. Then there's the type of what if that is probably the most well known. It is the what if this guy fought this guy. And the guys that made this type of what if so popular are probably Screw Attack with their Death Battle series, which can be at times a little disputable, I know, but damn, these types are still very entertaining. And kinda similar things would be something like the series by Alvin Earthworm called Super Mario Bros. Z. No, please, don't leave. I know the series isn't an anime, but the fights feel very close to it, and it's still a cool thing that I wanted to talk about. And I only have positive memories about it. Just look at this. Doesn't that look kinda anime to you? But the one that has stuck the most of this type of what if has to be the 4-part series by Redhead Henry, just called Goku vs. Evil Goku. That was the shit when I was younger, with amazing sprite animation, a cool concept, and an overall amazing execution. He did Evil Goku before it was cool. Man, I'm just now realizing I'm talking about a lot of Dragon Ball stuff. The third type would be the theorizing of what could happen in the future of the series. It's just so fun to see all the pieces already and moving them ahead in your mind to look at all the possibilities. Noteworthy stuff currently is probably the Anime Balls Deep's theory about who is Asta's demon, or what will happen with Shigaraki and the Hero Society after the recent events in the manga that I won't spoil. And as much fun as it can be to have all these fantasies, it can really suck when the show just doesn't use the full potential of it after having thought of all those possibilities. That happened to me recently with the Boruto anime, when Sasuke and Boruto were transported back in time to the time where Naruto was still a child and Sasuke left the village. That was the time where I wished so much for like one episode where Sasuke just goes off to meet up with Itachi and just saying thank you for everything Itachi did for him, and they would both start to have this conversation as two brothers that never really had the chance to talk. Sasuke with Itachi about everything that would happen, and Itachi would be happy that everything he was working for and sacrificing himself for had actually a meaning. And this whole scene would build up in my head, and the bigger it got, the more I wished for it. But yeah, I had to get disappointed, because apparently Sasuke had to contract Sakura's uselessness with all this chakra duration. I'm shit, I last longer than he does, and you just have to breathe into my ear for me to be done. Yo guys, editing Nyhve here. I actually found a fan animation during editing for this type of concept, where Sasuke meets Itachi while traveling back in time, but it didn't go as deep as I wished for. Then there's the type of what if that are actually used within the story to show what would have happened to a character if things played out differently for them. And sadly, I can't think of too many examples at the moment, but there are two that I want to talk about, and both of them happen to be in My Hero Academia. The first one would be the comparison between Deku and the Gentle Criminal, where it is even kind of stated how Gentle is basically how Deku would have turned out to be if he just had a really shitty quirk and wasn't recognized by All Might. And it's also kind of obvious seeing how both of them just wanted to be heroes so much, but basically just didn't get the recognition, and how Gentle started to enter this downward spiral that Deku would have found himself in. And their confrontation was just those two people with very similar foundations clashing against each other, and that was just so amazing to see, which is one of the reasons why the Gentle Criminal is my favorite villain in My Hero. And the second one would be the comparison between Todoroki and Dabi, and these two are actually the reason why I wanted to do this video. It's just really interesting to watch those two with all the developments in the manga recently, where it wasn't really stated, but hinted at hard that Dabi is actually the first son of Endeavor, who just probably wasn't enough for Endeavor because he hadn't the ice ability of his mom, which is why Dabi started to resent his father, and because of that, the whole hero society in itself, which drove him to villainy. Which makes Todoroki even more interesting, because he most likely could have turned into Dabi 2.0 if he continued to hate his father that much, and if he didn't have that match against Deku. And I would love for those two to have a confrontation in the story at some point where Todoroki gets to see what would have happened if he continued hating Endeavor, and have those two ideas of going with the hate and starting to become a villain and dealing with it to stay on the hero path clash against each other. I just love what ifs. They just get you so excited, and to be so creative, to make you ask all these questions like, what if this would have happened, or what if those two meet, or what if I had a bigger... Alright, stop! Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope that you're doing fine and have a fine day. Now all that's left for me to say is for you to do whatever you want down there. This was Nyhve, and I'm out. Ciao! Wow!